Hello, everyone. I think we are live. Today we're talking about how less work can make you more money. And I know that sounds backwards because most of us were trained with an employee mindset. Even when we started our own business, we were taught that more effort equals more income, more hours equal more success. And if things aren't working, the solution is to work harder, right? The mindset works when you're paid for time, and it completely breaks when you're trying to build something scalable. This is the moment where most smart, capable people get stuck. They don't fail, they succeed, and they drown in their own success. So let me tell you about a client of mine. When she came to me, she was already doing well on paper. She had clients, she had testimonials, she was booked most weeks, but she was exhausted. And her days were full of messages, follow ups, calls, onboarding emails, reschedules, reminders, and just constant context switching. And she told me, I feel like I'm working all day, but I don't actually feel wealthy. And that sentence right there tells you everything. She wasn't being paid for the value that she was providing. She was being paid for how much she could personally handle. So her business was structured like a job. And it's totally normal. Most people do this. How would you know? I often talk about the employee versus empire mindset, is what I call it. And in our society, we are trained to be employees. We're trained to trade our time for money, right? Even when I ask people, I'll say, do you have a high ticket? Do you have something that's high ticket, or how much do you charge? And they say, oh, yeah, I charge $1,500. And I said, well, how did you come up with that amount? And they said, basically, it takes me about 15 hours and I figured $100 an hour. So right there, it's still trading that time for money. It's not based on value, right? So when our television, our friends, our parents, our teachers, our whole society is training us to be workers, right? Go to school, get good grades, get a good job, work, do. Then they go to start a business and that's all they know, right? Everything else is in their blind spot. They're just automatically their whole lives, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, have been trained to trade that time for money. So how would they know any different? And then what ends up happening is they create a job for themselves, which is what we're talking about here today. And back to my old client, her business was structured like a job, right? She was the follow-up system. She was the explanation system. She was the reminder system. She was the quality control department, right? That's an employee mindset inside of an entrepreneurial container. And no matter how talented you are, that creates a ceiling. When income is tied directly to effort, time becomes the bottleneck. We can never make more of it. We can make more money. There's money everywhere. Abundance. We live in an abundant society. There's money everywhere. You can make more money, but you can never make more time. We all have the same 24/7 in a day, right? We all have the same amount of time. That's the true commodity. Like I would rather spend money to create more time. And this is the difference between an employee mindset and an empire mindset. An employee mindset asks, how many hours will this take me? An empire mindset asks, how much value does this create? And how much time does it pay me back? And empire builders don't get paid for time. They get paid for the outcomes that they deliver. They get paid for their value. They get paid for results that they get for their client. They get paid for clarity. They get paid for results. Once you see that distinction, that idea less work can make you more money, stop sounding lazy and crazy and just start sounding logical. So here's what we uncovered with this client, right? She wasn't overworked because she had too many clients. She was overworked because every client required manual effort at every step. Okay, manual. That's the key word there. Every lead needed a personal follow-up. Every call needed explaining from scratch. Every yes required a custom onboarding process. Every client question lived in her inbox. So even though she charged well, her energy was constantly being drained by that repetition. And repetition is expensive because every time you solve the same problem again from zero, you're paying for it with time, and time does not scale, right? So for me, for example, when I find myself repeating myself over and over again, whether it's with new leads, new clients, whatever it is, if I find myself repeating myself, that's my key. That's my signal to say, okay, how can I automate this process? How can I record this and just give it to somebody on an automatically within my systems, right? This is where they confuse that activity with progress. They think that being busy means that they're building something, but busyness is not leverage. Leverage is when effort compounds. So instead of asking, how do I work harder? We ask, what do you think? What would you say? We ask what work should not require you anymore, or not just how can I work smarter? A lot of people say, oh, it's how can I work smarter? I'm going to work smarter, not harder. But no, it's what work should not require you anymore. That's the question you need to ask. So follow up should not require you. Scheduling should not require you. Or follow up should require like a minimal amount, I would say. You could have like a scheduled amount time. Like I follow up with my clients for weekly, 1 day a week. I follow up with them. So we have a set time. It's slotted. I give them as much time as they want during that one call. It's usually around 2 to 3 hours, but it's every day, every week at that time. So it's not 24/7. You can contact me whenever. Scheduling should not require you. That should be completely automated. Explaining your offer should not require you every single time. Onboarding should not depend on your memory or availability. Those are not high value tasks. They're just familiar ones. So high value work is thinking, right? Like you're thinking the way you think, your knowledge, your wisdom, your expertise. It's deciding, it's designing, right? It's positioning. Those are high level things. Low leverage work is repeating yourself. We structured her business around value instead of time. Can you see the difference? Does that make sense? So when we clarified her message so her content did the explaining before the call. And we set up simple automations so that leads were followed up with instantly instead of hours later. So we created a clear call booking and prep process so people showed up already aligned. And we streamlined onboarding so that clients felt supported without her needing to be everywhere. And here's what happened. She didn't suddenly start working more, right? She worked less, but her income stabilized and her clients improved because that gave her the freedom, that gave her the time to be able to go really deep with her clients to get even better results. And her sales conversations also got a lot easier because the work that she removed was not the work that was creating the actual value. It was the work that it wasn't like it was the work that was draining that was draining her energy. So she could show up fresh, right? It gave her more time to take care of her needs and herself so that she could show up to be her best self to serve others. So this is what people misunderstand. They misunderstand about automation and AI. They think it's about removing the human element, but it's really not. It's about protecting it. And automation and AI handle what doesn't require your judgment, your creativity, or your leadership. When someone opts in, AI responds instantly. When they book a call, systems prepare them. When they say yes, onboarding happens seamlessly. So that means when you do show up, you're fully present. You're coaching, you're leading, you're delivering, you're solving the higher level problems. And that's empire work. And this is where less work creates more money because clarity sells faster than effort, right? So when your systems communicate certainty, people trust the process. You stop convincing, you stop chasing, you stop negotiating. When your systems are set up properly, when you're so clear on how to communicate your value effectively to the people who need you and who are ready to buy from you, there's no convincing. There's just, yeah, let's do it. There's no chasing. There's no negotiating. I need this. I understand based on the way you're communicating with me that you're the person that I need to solve it with. And then clients just arrive ready. And that's what premium buyers want. They don't want more access to you. They want more certainty in the outcome. They want the result. And certainty doesn't come from hustle. It comes from structure. And this is why two people in the same niche, they can work completely different hours and earn completely different amounts. One is busy, the other is leveraged. One is reactive, the other is intentional. One's trading time for money, the other is being paid for value and results that they're giving their customer. And here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. The shift from employee to empire mindset is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. And a lot of people don't want to get out of their comfort zone. They're comfortable being comfortable. And I want to invite you to learning how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because when you get out of your comfort zone, that's where you grow, right? That's where you learn. And then that becomes comfortable. I remember when I started learning how to do Facebook ads. Oh my goodness, so hard for me to grasp it. Now I teach it. Now I teach how to do it, right? So it was so uncomfortable, but I just persevered. I kept doing it. I kept at it, and I just ended up learning it. And now I teach how to do it because it requires just letting go of proving your worth through effort. It requires trusting systems instead of overworking. And it requires believing that your value is not measured by how exhausted you are at the end of the day. But once you make that shift, the payoff compounds. Less work creates space. Space creates better decisions, create better results, and better results are what people actually pay for. So if you feel like you're doing too much right now, it's not a failure, it's just a signal. So listen to it. It's a signal that your value has outgrown your structure. It's a signal that you're ready to stop trading time for money and that the next level requires systems, automation, and leverage. So less work doesn't mean you care less. And a lot of therapists get in this trap, or wellness, health and wellness professionals, I notice, because they care so much. A lot of nurses that I work with that are programmed that way. So it doesn't mean that you're caring less if you're not working as much. Okay. It means you're finally working like an empire builder. And when you do that, more money becomes the byproduct, better results for your clients becomes the byproduct. Your health, your wealth, your energy, everything becomes that byproduct when you have those systems in place. So I want to ask you something. What part of your business feels the heaviest right now? Go ahead and put that in the chat. I want to know. And let's see. I don't know how to see the chat here. Using a new system. Anyway, I'll check it later. If you're here with me live, I will check those comments and put any comments that you'd like in the comments here, whether you're watching the replay or you're here on the live, and I will get to them. What's your biggest bottleneck? Maybe that's your bottleneck, that you just don't want to do it and you want someone to do it for you. And good news is I do it. So if you want to put in the comments and want to know more about that, then put that in the comments. But anyway, is it that? Is it the follow-up part? Is it sales conversations? A lot of people have a problem with sales. They say they hate sales. I actually used to say the same thing. I used to hate sales, but then I learned about sales and selling from service. And that's what I also teach, is how to sell from service, right? You're really just sales is all about just getting clarity around the problem and what the desired outcome is. If you can be that bridge to take them from there to there, that's all sales is. And if you can, then it's let's go. Otherwise, it feels sleazy and cheesy and whatever. If it's not, then you just point them in the direction of something that could help them or might be a better fit. What else could be heavy? Client management, or just trying to keep everything running all over the place. What's your biggest thing? What's your biggest constraint or your biggest challenge in your business right now? Drop a comment and tell me what feels like the biggest drain. Because again, I read and reply to every comment. So in my next video, I walk you through the exact systems that I help my clients set up to stop doing everything manually, from follow-up to booking to onboarding, so the business starts working without you having to be everywhere. So click on that next video here. Please subscribe, check out that next video, and I'll break it down step by step. All right, I'll check you on the next one.